We were actually practicing when they announced the bracket, so we did not know who was on our regional at that time. But certainly that'll start now, and our video guys who do such a great job for us will start locating all the video we need. And I actually have seen Simo's left-hander on film already, just a little bit. And he's really good, and his numbers are phenomenal. I know how good the pitching is at Cal State Fullerton and how good a club they are. And obviously, with Jake being on our staff in 2013, I know how much has gone into Louisiana Tech. So great regional. I think if you combined all the RPIs of this regional, it's pretty darn good and pretty competitive. And I was just telling our club though, we're really focused on what we're trying to do. And I'm assuming all the clubs that are coming here are doing the same thing. So it's a good field. We're excited about it, but we still have a lot of work to do before we open up on Friday.
What does it mean
would you like to make some pitching decisions? How much scouting will that take?
We got to see him play. We got to see Simo play before we make that decision. I couldn't tell you right now what their left-right situation is, and that's going to be important. What their breakdown numbers are, left on left, right on right, situational. I don't really even know how their ballpark plays. So, and you got to know how their ballpark plays to really fully understand their statistics. So we got to get all that figured out here quickly.
What does it mean for this program to be a national seed for the first time?
Yeah, I think it's a great honor, but like I've said many times, we won the Southeastern Conference. That's a tremendous honor. You got about 2 minutes to take that in and say, okay, now we've got to get ready for the SEC tournament. We've been named a national seed, which is a great honor, and now we got to get ready to play well against a very, very good field. So, you don't have time to sit back and look at the historical things that are happening. You spend all your time trying to prepare for what's going to happen next.
I talked to a couple former players today, and they mentioned that these players will think about this in the coming years. Do you think that'll happen, that they'll really reflect on this season and just what they were able to accomplish?
There's no question. I'm telling you right now, I can still reflect by the second what happened when we lost to North Carolina in 1989, because I thought we had by far and away the best team in the country. Now, when you're 21 years old or 22, you always think you're the best in the country, but that was a bad feeling in front of our own fans here in 1989. And of course, we're fortunate enough the next year to go to Omaha and have a great year then. But yeah, it'll stick with you. I mean, I've been in this business for a long time, and that kind of thing still sticks with me. So yeah, you don't want to talk about that kind of stuff with your players because they're so young, they don't really have time to reflect on things. But yeah, I mean, it's important.
Any thoughts so far as to pitching rotation, pitching plans, that sort of thing? Dakota on Friday, or any thought to that? Yeah.
Again, you really got to watch the film of Simo and see, what their situation is, and you got to look at the 2 and 3s and you got 2 and 3 seeds, and you got to have a feel for what their lineups are, and it's a combination of what our guys are doing well right now versus the matchups. So you got to balance those two things, and you can't really see what the matchup situation is until you watch some film. That's what we're going to do.
Coming off Hoover with a couple of days just to work on yourselves, what did y'all work on?
Yeah, we got out in the heat and we got after it. I tell you what, yesterday was kind of a conditioning type of oriented baseball practice, and our kids got after it. They had tremendous attitudes. It's phenomenal. It's exactly what you expect out of a championship club. They gave us everything they had. We start tapering down a little bit from Sunday. Today was a little bit less, a little bit more specific about the running game, first and third situations, bunt plays, things of that nature defensively. We've had really nice BP sessions, and I like where our group is, mentally, physically, all those things.
You talked about Simo's left-hander. I think they're 17th in the country with a .310 batting average. I mean, how tough of a 4 seed are they?
They're good. I mean, they're really good. I can't speak in an educated way about who are the best 4 seeds in the entire country, but if there's better 4 seeds out there than this, I mean, I was looking at Alabama Stages as an example. I mean, they're a really good 4 seed. I mean, I think there might be several of them out there, but yeah, this is a really good regional, and I know people are going to ask about who we're matched up with. I'll tell you who we're matched up with. We're matched up with Simo. That's our matchup. That's the game. We're going to do everything we can to win that baseball game because that's the one that matters the most.
I know you don't know who you're playing after that, but you're familiar with Dietrich at Cal State Fullerton. What makes them so dangerous? Number one pitching staff in the country as far as the RA is concerned, and they have that experience too in the NCAA. What makes them dangerous coming in?
Well, I think I remember in '88 they came in here, and that's a long time, it's an eternity ago, before the players were even born. But they brought a really talented club in here and won a regional here and went to Omaha from here. So, it's not uncommon for Fullerton to have success in different areas of the country. Boy, they have one of the great baseball dynasties in the history of college baseball. I think, you mentioned 10, 12, 15 programs around the country. You certainly have to mention them. They go as deep as anybody in terms of titles and NCAA appearances and all that good stuff. So, yeah, I mean, they can really pitch, they can really defend, and they win baseball games.
What's the identity behind that pitching staff? Is it swing and miss? Is it ground balls? When you kind of spoke with Dietrich, what is kind of fundamentals?
Yeah, I just think they're really mentally strong, and he does such a great job with that. And they're a really good club. They're just mentally tough. When you play the schedule that they do in Southern California and the West Coast Conference, I mean, you can play some really difficult teams, and week in, week out, they're going to be battle tested. And a trip on an airplane for 3.5, 4 hours isn't going to change that. They're going to be a really good team.
Basically, all number ones were in the Southeast or in Texas. Well, was it more what the South was doing right this year than what the West was doing wrong? What were your thoughts? Because I know that you had 3 games out there and you played Oregon as well.
I did notice that, at least in my baseball career as a coach, this might be. And just looking at the bracket just for 5 minutes, I just think the committee did a great job of awarding the teams that deserve to have regionals. And I know there's 1 or 2 discrepancies here. There always is. And the teams that deserve national seats. And I know there were some clubs at the end there that probably deserved it as well. Some in our conference. But I think for the most part, I don't see that they made geography the main issue. And I think maybe in the past there's been some of that. And I think, the committee just did a great job of saying what's fair, what's the best field, what are the best matchups per seeding, and I think it was pretty fairly done. I really do.
Kind of jumping on Robbie's question, 1 through 7 in the SEC, is that the best 1 through 7 that you can remember in this league?
There's no question. I mean, I'm not an historian, but golly, 7 teams hosting. It's just remarkable. So, yeah. And again, you look at the so-called bottom of our league. I mean, I thought there were some teams that deserved consideration. I thought Kentucky and Alabama really deserved consideration. I thought they were really good teams. And the teams at the so-called bottom, they just have their first-round draft picks, that you got to go try and beat. This league's really good. And there's no doubt in my mind that a team at the so-called bottom of our league can win the league next year. I know that firsthand. Because it can happen, and it can happen quickly. So, yeah, I think the strength of our league is notable, and I think the committee did a great job noticing that.
Also looking nationally there have been a couple of real high-profile changes. Alabama's coach change, your friend Mitch Gaspard now, and then out of Texas, big news today. Is there more pressure on coaches? Is that kind of a compliment now to baseball that's taken almost like football and basketball and the immediate firings?
Well, I don't know the circumstances around those. I hate to see Coach Garrido step down just because he's an institution in our sport. I mean, you mentioned the Skip Bertmans and the Ron Polks and all these folks, but I mean, Augie Garrido he's a legend, and he's one of the great baseball minds. You're around him for 5 minutes and you realize he is just a brilliant baseball guy. And Mitch Gaspard, I think, is a phenomenal baseball guy too. He is a great coach. There are many times in my career I've called and asked Mitch for advice. I think he's an outstanding recruiter. I think he's got a great baseball mind. And whatever he chooses to do in the future, he will be really good because he's a sharp individual with a bright future.
You're able to use Paul Young and some other guys last week in Hoover. Getting those guys some work, is it going to help you in the long run as we enter regional play?
Yeah, those guys needed to get on the mound. We needed to get Pilk an inning or 2. We needed to get Paul out there. We needed to get James out there. I mean, it was really important for us. We kind of ran out of innings there because I really wanted Humphreys to have one as well. But, yeah, I mean, we just need those guys to pitch. You can't go 2 weeks without, throwing in a competitive way.
You mentioned wanting to see what other teams have before you make a decision on your pitching rotation, but how much did Zach Houston's performance kind of play himself into getting more consideration? Maybe.
Well, that coupled with the fact of what he's done in his bullpens and in practice and his mentality, his body language, I mean, everything about him says, hey, I'm a real guy. I'm throwing the baseball well, and I can get people out. So, yeah, that's going to be considered for sure. And everything's still on the table right now for who we're going to pitch because, again, we got to find out who these teams are and what they're about.
Your team, obviously, no stranger to big crowds, but most haven't been a part of the postseason in Starkville. What do you tell them about what that means?
Yeah, with Super Bulldog weekends and things of that nature, I think our kids, even the Arkansas weekend at the end there, I thought very vocal, big crowds, and we were so appreciative of our fans for coming to see us. But, yeah, that's the kind of thing you got to put that in the rearview mirror because, with the heat, with what we're trying to do, you can't get mentally drained too quickly. You have to really maintain that even keel. That's why we're practicing in the heat right now. Because I want our kids, if we're at night, then it's going to be so much cooler for them. It'll be easier. You want practice to be more difficult than the games. And certainly I think that'll be the case.
I know that you'll fully reflect on it when the season's over, but is there any time at all, whether it's when you lay your head on your pillow at night or anything, that you kind of think about this run and where you guys were a year ago and now where you sit this weekend with a chance as a national seed to do some damage in the postseason?
You know what? There will be a time. But I can tell you, we played for a national championship in 2013, and that still haunts me. I mean, it does. I mean, on one side of it, you can lay your head on the table and say, hey, you know what? There were 298 Division I teams watching you play. They're all at home. That's a compliment to your program. On the other side, you're saying you're this close to winning the whole thing, which is what everybody wants. But, we certainly want that as well. So you try not to reflect because there's two sides to every issue. And right now, we want our kids to stay hydrated. We want them to be healthy. We want them to put the right things in their body. We want them to be rested. And we want them to play at their best. If our kids are playing at their best, that's all I want. That's all I can ask for because I think we have a special group. We gotta find that. We gotta find what our best is.